Good evening everyone and welcome to my channel Will on Safety. Today's topic I thought I'd discuss how to win over those employees on the shop floor and how to get those shop floor employees to buy in to safety. Now when you're a new safety practitioner and you join a new company, that can be really difficult. Obviously you join the company, they've been used to a previous health and safety manager. You don't know what that history's been like. So what I always try and do is I try and engage the shop floor straight away. And what do I mean by that is I get myself out on the shop floor and I just start talking to people. Shop floor employees are an invaluable resource when it comes to health and safety. They're also the subject matter experts, in what that particular business does, what that process they're involved with looks like, what day-to-day problems, they see arriving from that process. They work the process every day. As a health and safety professional, I don't. So really, they're an untapped and really underutilized resource. Whenever you join a new company and you start to speak to the shop floor personnel, you can sometimes get a bit of a frosty reception. Like I said just a moment ago, you don't really know what that relationship's been like between the shop floor and the safety advisor, safety manager, safety consultant. So what I always try and do is I sit down with each department, be that the office department, the maintenance department, the production department, dispatch department, whatever that business looks like. I go in, I sit down with the department, with members of the shop floor from that department, and I just ask them, what sort of issues or what sort of challenges are you having here within the department? I'm very open and honest. I'm very transparent with them. And I say, if you tell me things, and it's obviously an issue for you, I will take that up the line and I'll put it up to management. I will fight the case for improvements where I believe, we need to improve in that area. But I cannot guarantee, and I won't guarantee to you, that everything you ask for, I can facilitate. But what I will guarantee to you is that regardless of whether we get something implemented or we don't get something implemented, I will come back, I will talk to you about it, and I will explain the reasons why the business either doesn't want to implement some of your ideas, or I'll come back and tell you it's good news and we're going to implement some of those improvements. Communication really is key when it comes to engaging shop floor personnel, and the production staff. If you don't communicate, if you're not transparent, if you overpromise and then don't deliver, all that's going to happen then is you're going to have a very negative relationship between the shop floor and you. And what you want to happen is eventually, when you've built that rapport, built that relationship, you want shop floor folks to come to you and say, I've either got this really good idea, or, I've been working on this process for a while now and we've got a bit of an issue, I think it needs looking at. Because when that starts to happen, that starts to signify that you're starting to get a positive health and safety culture, and the health and safety culture is starting to improve. So, the key is the communication piece. Don't overpromise. Always go back to the folks that have raised the idea or asked you to try and implement something. Regardless of whether it's good or bad news, if it is bad news and it's not going to be implemented, sit down with them, explain to them why the business isn't going to implement it. Maybe there's tight budget constraints, they can't do it this year, but it'll be looked at again next year. there's nothing worse than somebody raising an issue to you and not hearing anything back. And I always try and sort of think back to my time in the military, and I think, I used to hate it when I'd raise things and not hear anything back. In the same regard, I hate it when people used to tell me to do things and not explain why it used to be done. Or even worse than that, they used to say, because I'm telling you to. That isn't a reason to implement anything. That's not a reason for somebody to do what you're asking them to do. That's the other thing, really, on the engagement piece is you might be going into a business that has a lot of legacy issues, or might have a lot of folks that have been in that business for 30, 40 years. They've been doing the job the same way for all that time, and they've never had a problem. Just because they've never had a problem, it doesn't mean that it's the right way to do things. So again, if I'm trying to implement a system, I will sit down with the different departments, and I'll explain to them why I need them to either work a certain way, wear a certain piece of PPE. And 9 times out of 10, if you take that time to sit down with employees and sort of explain your rationale as to why you're asking them to do something, it's a lot better received than just going, right, from now on, this department is a hearing protection mandatory zone, or everybody now must wear, face masks. I mean, let's take COVID as an example. A lot of businesses did it really well. Some businesses didn't do it really well, and they struggled. And I think they struggled because it was just another rule that just got fired out to employees that wasn't thoroughly explained. If you sit down with employees and say, I know this COVID-19 is out and about now, we're going to require you to wear a mask. And the reason we're going to require you to wear a mask is because, one, we're protecting the business. If you go down with COVID-19 and you spread it to other employees, if 2 or 3 employees out of a department, say a dispatch department, for example, go off work, then that potentially cripples the business because you then no longer have a dispatch department. Also, we want to protect you as the employees and us as the company, as well as your families. If you come into work and we don't have this mandatory mask wearing policy and somebody gives you COVID-19, we don't know if you've got vulnerable family members back at home. You're then going back home and potentially transmitting COVID-19 onto your vulnerable family members. And we've all seen the news, worst case scenario of what can happen there. But when you're trying to engage employees, especially shop floor employees, you really need to take that extra time to explain to people why you want them to work a certain way, wear a certain piece of equipment, and especially if you're going to the shop floor and asking what the issues are, what the challenges are, how you can improve their working life, don't overpromise things. Don't say, I could definitely get this through for you, because if you can't, it's going to be, taken very negatively. Just say to folks, be open and honest. You know what? I can see this as an issue, and that's a very valid point raised. I will take this away to the management team, and I will see what I can do for you. But I promise you, I will come back to you, good or bad news, and I'll explain the reasons, why. And if you do that, that will really start to build a good working relationship between you and the shop floor. Because at least if you have that communication piece, working well, they'll go, do you know what? He always takes up to the management team. He always comes back and explains why either something's going to be implemented or not implemented. So we're going to keep raising issues to him or her. So yeah, communication really is key in health and safety. There's a lot of characters that we work with, but communication, being open and honest, talking to people and trying to improve their working environment and working lives. I don't know about everybody else, but that's why I got into health and safety. I want to help people. I want to educate people as well. But communication is key. And it's completely imperative to have that good working relationship. You want an open door policy. You want people to raise whatever issues they're having. Come and see me. I will try my best to rectify it. And if I can't, I will sit down with you and explain why I can't do it. But yeah, speak to the shop floor. The shop floor have some absolutely fantastic ideas. They are a key resource that is so underutilised by many companies. It just shocks me. Speak to the shop floor. They are your subject matter experts. Get the lowdown on how things are going. Ask how you can improve their working environment. Don't overpromise anything. But, just try and make those improvements to make their working life a bit easier, and they will keep coming back to you with good ideas, health and safety issues, questions, answers, and you'll start to build that really positive health and safety culture that all companies strive for. But I'll leave that video there. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful evening. And remember, folks, safe by choice, not by chance. Take care for now. Bye.